Hi, uh, this is our group paper not cut from trees. I'm Benji.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Isabella, and unfortunately Charlie is not here to be in our presentation today, but we will talk about what he kind of focused on for our group. So essentially, as we were looking at this, there's the whole idea of making paper from recycled materials, not always necessarily reusing old paper, but we made it from things like denim, hemp fibers, recycled artwork, any fibrous material, any plant high in cellulose can be used to make paper out of. And we'll explain the process later on in the presentation. But we thought about how can you really implement this in the world? Like where does it kind of fit into our picture? So anything you would use printer paper or virgin paper as it is called, you can use recycled paper for. So the rubrics you guys are writing on today, note cards, pamphlets, banners, anything you could really think of. And it wouldn't be an overly complicated process because those papers are made from wood pulp fibers, which is the same process in which you would use to make these recycled papers as we have on the poster here. It's just a matter of getting those materials and running them through. And it's typically a much smaller scale process because, as you can see, those aren't perfect papers because they're not made for printing, but it still could be used in this world in different ways.
So there's a lot of benefits to using recycled paper or recycled materials to create paper. You can use any number of materials such as blue jeans, which we have right here. You can use like hemp, part of a hemp plant to make paper. That's pretty cool. And using this method is much better for the environment. For one, you don't have to cut down trees and use brand new fibers to make paper, which is how it's usually done. It also prevents things, it prevents more things from going into a landfill, like for example, a pair of blue jeans. But there are a couple challenges though. This way to make paper is not really that popular. You'll only really see it that much from individual people who have an interest in this sort of thing. It's not really done by companies yet or big corporations. So you won't really see a lot of denim paper on the shelf at a Target or something.
Unfortunately, our partner Charlie could not make it today due to some complications, so he will not be able to present his part on the project. We also have a video on the process of how we made our paper, so I am going to be talking over that. There is also text on screen once we can get it to actually play. My part of the project was all about the process and the how-to of making the paper, given the materials and machinery we used. To make paper, we used hemp material and denim fabric, as well as a mix of the two as our pulp. If you were unaware, hemp material is also known as natural plant fiber. In order to make our pulp, we used something called a Hollander beater, which you saw on screen a couple seconds ago. A Hollander beater was a machine developed in 1860 to produce paper pulp from cellulose, and it replaced stamp mills because it could produce the same amount of paper in one day instead of 8. The tools we use to actually pick up the paper is called a mold and decal. A mold and decal is a 2-piece paper making tool used in the hand making paper process. The mold picks up the pulp while draining the water, and the decal forms the edges. Once you have your sheet, the next process is called couching. Couching is the process of transferring a newly made sheet of paper onto a felt, in order for the sheets to be placed into the hydraulic press. The purpose of a hydraulic press is to remove water from the sheets while pressure bonding them so they don't fall apart upon drying and dry even. The last tool we use in paper making is the dry box, which you will see on screen once we get through the hydraulic press, because it seems I talk too fast. Speaking of the hydraulic press, you will see on screen a couple of seconds from now that the person on screen will be pressing a button. While using the hydraulic press, we put the pressure up to around 2,500 pounds with around 10-second intervals between 500 pounds, so the water doesn't come exploding out. The last tool we use in the paper making tool is the dry box. By placing the sheets in between corrugated board and blotter paper, the dry box sets out and evaporates the leftover water. That, along with the pressure, ensures the sheets dry flat and even. You need to leave the paper in the dry box for around 24 hours before you can pull it all out.
Are there any questions while the rest of this video plays? The blue stuff is bits of blue jean fibers that have been broken down.
So I think it's on this side of the poster where the different papers. So the blue paper is, like you said, denim fibers. So fibers you would find in jeans. The more yellowish paper is made of hemp material, which is also called natural plant fibers. And the grayish paper is a mix of the two.
And more unnatural techniques as in used with printer paper, because printer paper isn't always bleach white like that. It is bleached, and there are other processes in which it goes through to become what it is. So I think that could be something realistic for recycled paper, but it kind of takes away the look of it and makes it seem much more like just printer paper, and those things can be harmful for the environment also.
Especially papers, it's very cool. You see art would be.
I think like many artworks, it can be like, as you can see the blue one, there are kind of white flecks in it, so you can kind of like mix the colors up and do like a sort of art design type thing. Or let's say you're a big company and you're really big on like eco-friendly, like good for the earth kind of thing. You could make a business card out of this paper, and then when someone sees your very natural business card, they may be more drawn to use your company and really see you as like eco-friendly and pro-environment.
The use of this paper with hemp material in particular can also promote the use of hemp material as a whole. So if you're a company who works with that, then you might want to use this paper.
What might be the next material? Done this, and I don't want to start a business.
Well, there are a lot of small businesses that use recycled paper in itself as a pulp. We could probably look up different organic materials, maybe different fabrics, different fibers.
There is some paper, it's not overly common, made of stone. Not quite sure how that process works, but the paper is really smooth and it's kind of cool. So that's an option, but just any fibrous material that when it goes through the Hollander, it shreds it up and it hydrates it, so it becomes very pulpy. So just those fibrous materials or like high cellulose plants, which is why the hemp fibers work so well.
Also, maybe like any of my other clothes, because if it works with blue jeans, it might work with like, I don't know, my shoes or my sweatshirt. Might try anything.
Is that all for questions? All right, thank you.